What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is the photo that we're going to be transforming today, and I'm going to show you how to get it from this to this. So usually when I start a photo, I would do the basic adjustments to the photo, like exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, all those different things. But I feel like this photo looks great how it is, and there's not really too much that I have to do with it. So what I'm going to do is click OK, drop it into Photoshop. And to be all the way honest, I'm not really liking the crop of the photo. I'm not liking how the hair is cut off up here and then the face is not centered with the square. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop this down to about here, and then I'm just gonna use a square tool and remove those white edges. I'm going over the white boxes with the square tool, and then I'm gonna right click, go to generative fill, and then generate, and it's going to give me something like this. And if you see on the right side over here, it's going to give you different variations of the things that it generates. So it gave me 2, usually gives you 3, but let's see which one I like the most. I like this one a lot better than I like the first one for obvious reasons. In this photo, her hair kind of looks like a cone shape. In this one, it just looks perfectly round. Her shoulder in this photo also goes back a little bit more compared to this one, where it's just like, it just looks a little weird to me. So after we got that, I'm going to hold shift and merge these 2 layers together. I'm going to rename this one to frequency 1. And then I always like to have the raw image just kind of there so I can have something to refer back to as I'm going throughout the edit. So from here, what I'm going to do is grab the patch tool, and I'm just going to slowly start going through and removing these blemishes, any imperfections, anything that like sticks out in the photo that we don't want there. Obviously that the client may not want there. We're just going to remove anything that doesn't add purpose to the photo. And one thing to mention, you don't really see it too well on this photo, but like, let's say if you're doing a photo of somebody else and they have really large pores, what you want to do is just kind of like use the clone stamp tool and just go over to certain areas. Like right here, you see a bit of large pores right here. Just go over and remove those, because people don't like those in their photos. Gonna remove this little line right here, removing whatever is on her arms also. And after we've cleaned up the photo, this is what it's looking like so far. And we can go ahead and move on to the next step. What I'm gonna do is duplicate this frequency 1 layer, and I'm going to name it frequency 2. It's very important that when you're going throughout your edits, you're making sure that you're renaming your layers, because it keeps you organized and you know what's what. And what we're doing right now is frequency separation. So what I'm going to do is click on this bottom layer, this frequency 1 layer. I'm going to go to filter up here, go to blur, Gaussian blur. 1.5 is just about right. You just want to blur it until those textures start to disappear within her face. And then I'm going to go to the frequency 2 layer, and this is just a copy of that frequency 1 layer without the blur. And all we're going to do here with this layer is detach the details from it. So what I'm going to do is go to frequency 2, image, apply image, make sure the blending mode is on add, invert it, and then change the layer to frequency 1. And if you can see here, it took all the details and textures from that layer. From here, we're going to go to the blending modes over here to the right, and then change it to linear light. And if you did everything right, it's going to take the photo back to its original form. Next thing I'm going to do is go back to the frequency 1 layer, go up here to the mixing brush tool, and then I'm going to slowly go over the skin with the mixing brush tool. And I've explained this a couple times on my Instagram tutorials, but I'm going to re-explain it for the purpose of the YouTube video. What this does is it blends light and darks while also removing any imperfections that we didn't get when we, was cleaning the photo earlier. And what happens when you do this, it just gives it a very clean finish and professional look. And when I'm doing this, it's very important that you notice that I'm not going over the shadows and then going over the highlights at the same time. Like, I've seen a lot of people just do it this way and just, distort everything. That's not a result that you want. It's going to give you a very ugly look. But what you want to do is just kind of like stay in the direction that the face is already going. So if the cheek is going down, you want to make sure that you're going down with the cheek, and then you want to stay where the shadows are. So like, this is a lighter brown, you want to go where that is, and then go down here where the darker browns are, and just kind of do those separately. So I'm just lifting my mouse up and then going back down where certain areas are. You always want to make sure you're doing areas other than the face too. So you want to make sure that you're getting the neck here, of course the arms. And if you did everything the way I'm telling you to do it, you're going to have a result that looks like this. The next thing I want to do is fix up her hair a little bit, because if you see, like, this area is kind of like sticking out a little bit more, and I just want to have it like perfectly round, So the first thing I'm gonna do is just grab the patch tool and copy this little area right here with the rest of her hair. Same thing as up here. After that, I'm gonna go up here to filter, click liquefy. I'm gonna change the size to about 200. Make sure that you're selected on the forward warp tool, and then just go through and reshape her hair a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it looks a lot better than what it did. Now I know this video is getting a little long and there's a lot of information that I'm putting out here, so if I went over anything, if I'm going too fast, please feel free to go back in the video and rewatch whatever over. Or if you want me to touch up on something a little bit more, please just let me know in the comment section if you want me to make a video on a specific topic. Also, I'll post a little bit more frequently on my Instagram, so if you want more tutorials like this, go ahead and give me a follow over there. The next thing I'm gonna do with this image is add some dodge and burn. So what I'm gonna do is go down here to the adjustments layer. I'm gonna go to curves, click on this point in the middle and drag it all the way up that it overexposes the photo. I'm gonna hold Control and then I and invert that. And then I'm gonna add another layer and I'm gonna do the same exact thing, but I'm gonna drop this point down and underexpose those shadows. And then from here, I'm gonna grab the brush tool, make sure the opacity and the flow is at 100%. And then I'm just gonna go over and add highlights where I feel like they belong. So some on her nose here, some under her eyes, there's some here just above her lip. And you'll notice how harsh these white lines are. In order to make it blend a little better with her skin, we're gonna go over here to blending options and then click on soft light, and that's gonna blend it a lot more and match her skin better when we go to feather it out. And then do the exact same thing for the burn. So I'm gonna add some just kind of like on her cheek, some here just on the sides of her nose, some up here on her forehead, and then some on her neck as well. After I have all of my guidelines, I'm gonna click on properties and then I'm gonna go to mask, feather, and then just drag this all the way up until it starts to blend and fade into the photo. The same thing with the highlights, drag this up until it starts to fade in with the photo. And you just want to play around with the feather and the blending modes until you get it to look how you want it to look. And again, if you did everything right, you're gonna have a result that looks something like this. The next thing I want to do here is add another curves layer, and then I'm going to drop the contrast a little bit, and then I'm going to raise the highlights as well as the blacks just to kind of give it that fadey look. That's how I love photos that look like this. And then after that, I want to add a little noise to the photo, so I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to name this noise. Go to the rectangle tool and then just go over the entire photo. I'm going to right click, go to fill, 50% gray. I'm going to change the blending option to this to overlay so that it makes it transparent. And then I'm going to zoom in, go to filter, go to noise, add noise. And then you see how that adds more noise to the photo. 2.5 looks good, so I'm going to click OK. And this is what that looks like after. Now you can keep this photo how it is. I think it looks great how it is, or you can add different variations. Like I added a black and white filter like this, but I think that's just something that you should play around with so you can figure out what your editing style is. But this is what the photo looked like before, and this is what it looks like after I'm done with it. So if you enjoyed this transformation video, go ahead and hit the like button, follow me for more, and share this video with somebody who you feel like would enjoy this kind of content. Also, if you're interested in learning more photography tips and if you want one-on-one sessions with me so I can teach you how to get results like this every single time, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram and I'll help you get to where you want to be. Appreciate y'all for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.